To all who come to this happy podcast, welcome to FreshBaked a happy place where each week we combine our imagination with our experience to discuss, challenge, and explore all things Disneyland. I am Ron Berner, and with me as always, Mr. Fresh Baked himself, the indelible David Erickson.
What's up, Fresh Baked?
And this, of course, is Fresh Baked Presents Podcast, episode 23. Thanks for joining us, where today we are taking Disneyland Roll Call. We reach into the mailbag to answer your questions and, of course, our 5 things Disneyland. David, how are we doing on this fine day?
I'm doing great, Ron. How are you?
I am living the dream. It's above 75.
Dude, it's toasty out there. It's toasty.
It's getting up there, and that's the way I like it. Everything changes. I sleep better. My energy is better. I eat better. I work out more. The whole world changes for me when the sun comes out.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. I wake up. If the sun came up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's just my clock.
The sky's awake, so you're awake?
The sky's awake, so I am awake. So how have things been going? Family, fresh baked at the parks. What's new?
Busy and productive as ever. I'm a content machine these days. It's going great. We're turning stuff out.
I know you are, because my little inbox Gmail account is telling me that Fresh Baked website is getting a lot of traffic.
I'm trying again. I got things to say, and I need to say it. What am I supposed to do?
I think you should do it, because I love it, because when it comes in my inbox, I click and can quickly glance through it, which is something that I can do on my cell phone. I can do at work while I'm working. I can do where it's very, very innocuous rather than a video sometimes. Yeah. So I love it myself.
That's exactly right. Not everything's a video, but some things are worth putting on the website.
They are. Information is power. Disneyland power. David, so I thought it's funny because the timing with some of the mask mandates in Southern California just happened yesterday, but leading up to this week, it seemed like a good time to start talking about Disneyland inventory, or roll call, if you will, of the things that are not quite back yet. What does 100% of the park back look like, and where are we when it comes to that? There's certain things, like I know we'll get right into out of the top, the tram.
Sure.
So right when we start going through the list of things in the parks, things that were once there that are not currently there right now, and they may be coming back, or they're confirmed that they're not coming back, things like that. So I just kind of wanted to walk through the park virtually and talk about all those things. So
okay.
I'll let you, I know you've been talking about the tram recently, so I'll let you kick it off with that, and anything else you want to jump into.
Yeah, I would say, to answer that first question, right now I'd say we're about 80% is my guess. If we're comparing it to pre-COVID, I'd say we're and a lot of the stuff a lot of that 20% is stuff that's going to be happening soon. Spring is going to trigger a lot of change in the parks. A lot of things are going to start coming into play during the spring, and a lot of that is related to COVID. They're holding off on things, or they haven't done things yet, or they're just waiting until spring because the weather's better, obviously. So the trams is one of those things. Although that's going to probably be the first domino to fall. I think the trams is going to be the first thing that happens, that of the things that we're still missing. Things are moving super fast on the trams right now. They've got almost the whole fleet is operational now. It's funny when you think back on the stories that we heard about. There was some that were just completely mothballed and fell under total disrepair, and they none of them were working. Well, now we got something like 13 trams ready to go. Yesterday, they reversed field at the bag check at the Pixar Pal Around, the Mickey and Friends. The Pixar Pier, or Pixar Pal's parking structure. Mickey and Friends. You don't go that way. You walk. But up until yesterday, guests would go into the parking structure first, go through bag check from inside, and then exit out into the main common area there, and then walk the path into the park. Yesterday they switched it. You start in the common way, go through bag check, and then you're inside the parking structure where the trams normally are waiting for you.
Right.
They're not there right now. And then you walk the tram path into. That is done. Even though the trams aren't there, they're doing that to prepare. They're training cast. They're getting cast ready to prepare for the trams coming in. So that's a great signal that we're this close to getting trams back. So I'm guessing by the end of the month, I think, is probably most likely.
Right, because it wasn't like that on Saturday. I went and it wasn't like that. And it is funny because this whole time the way that the trams have been set up, or at least the security line, it always seemed curious to me that they reversed it anyway, because it still seems, since we're walking the tram path, it still seemed to make sense to go in the regular way.
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't do what they're doing today all the time. Like, what's the difference? Why reverse field like that? I don't know. Because if the reason why they did it was because there were no trams, but there's no trams today and they're doing it, so why not just do it?
Exactly. So I guess since we're outside of the park, let's continue to do that until we get into the park. So to your point, I did walk around. I do often walk around over the bridge that new bridge they built a couple years ago, all the way downtown Disney and come in. That security entrance by ESPN Zone has never returned. It's been cast.
Cast only.
Cast only, and which is I've complained about before, because they don't have signs. They make us walk all the way around, and then we got to do another, like a figure 8 to get out of it to come back to the Disneyland Hotel, which makes, I mean, just tell us at the beginning, like road construction, the detour to go this way, something.
You have to kind of know. If you don't already know, then you're going to be like, well, where the hell do I go?
I know. And I see, so they did put barricades up, so I see people with strollers and people like following the rules, which I did originally, until I realized how ridiculous it is. So they're going the wrong way, and I'm just like, ay. So anyway, walking through Disneyland, downtown Disney, I did not do it this past Saturday because I wasn't sure what I was going to get myself into with the construction had started over there. So I don't even know what it looks like to enter over there. But to that point, do you envision security, or have you heard anything about the old entrance security path?
The ESPN Zone entrance, or they call it West? I forget. That is going to be guests access again soon. I'm not sure. We're checking on the daily, actually. Every day we're checking, because I expect it to happen soon. But at some point they're going to have both ends open, both the Disneyland Hotel side and the ESPN Zone side open for guests. They have to, if they're gonna start when the trams come back. It has to be at least that soon, because people are going to want to not get on the trams. Right? Because there's going to be a huge crowd. There's going to be a huge lineup of people getting on that tram, and they can't walk the tram route, right? So they have to go to Plan 2. They have to have that gate open, the ESPN Zone side open, at least as soon as the trams are ready to go.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was asking, because I was curious on what they were going to do there. You would think that they would open it. I just didn't know. I hadn't heard anything on that, especially with that construction where they're going to want a very refined pass. Because I, for one, don't trams and buses. I'm not a fan of. I'm just not. I don't mind the trams on the way home, dark, but in the morning I like walking. I'm all energy. I'm a pot of coffee in. I'm full throttle. I like the walk to hear the Disney music, even in downtown Disney. I enjoy that. So not that I hate the trams, because I don't at all. It's just that might as well just walk, because for me it's just that easy. But there are people certainly that need the trams, and that's why it's really, really important that they come back. Speaking of that, Sugar Boo and Company and the West End Starbucks are gone for good permanently.
Yes.
Is that right?
Actually, it's Sugar Boo, Starbucks, and Earl of Sandwich.
But Earl of Sandwich, the reason I mentioned those two is Earl of Sandwich, I thought Disney announced, will be returning, just at a different location.
Where?
I have heard this. That's an interesting. Put a button in that.
I've not heard that. I've heard people assume or think that that's going to happen, but I haven't heard anything from Disney. Maybe I missed it.
Well, I may have misspoke by saying I heard it from Disney.
Oh.
That's probably a misspeak on my part.
Yeah, I think the speculation was that they were going to rebuild it in whatever new version of Downtown Disney they create. But I mean,
that's good. That's glad we're talking about it. Talk about some of these whispers and things that are out there. The other thing, speaking of buses, Toy Story parking lot. I don't go that route, but that's your home turf over there. Is that fully functional, fully operational?
Fully functional, and is the most efficient way to get into the park. If you're about saving footsteps and saving time and convenience, then you should park at the Toy Story parking lot.
if you are coming from that direction.
Well, you can get there from any direction. If you're coming from the north, it's a little bit more convoluted, but it's still it's still doable. You just have to know which exit to take.
I know. I just don't subscribe to it's easier and better. Just because to me, you're going there, you're parking to get in line, to get on a bus, to get off the bus, to get in line.
Well, it's no different than the trams.
I just walk, but I'm so.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. If you're a walker, then go ahead. It's like you don't need the Toy Story lot.
Right. But anyway, I was just curious because I hadn't been over there, so I wasn't sure exactly. Are they doing security? They
do security which is a great feature, by the way. That's something new that they started doing before the shutdown. But they do security, the bag check at Toy Story lot before noon, or I guess if it's super, super busy, bag check, but it hasn't been since they reopened. But they do bag check at Toy Story before. I think it's either 11 or 12, which means you bypass bag check, obviously, and you get your own little private lane. When the bus drops you off, you walk right into the Esplanade, and you don't have to wait through that bag check. And it's almost always faster that way than it is through the harbor entrance.
Okay, so now we're in the parks, I guess.
Yep.
I think, right? Down. What? Let's see. If we're going to Disneyland, what are the things that jump out that we have not seen in a couple of years?
Main Street. We don't have a daytime parade. Not only do we not have a daytime parade, we don't have any word of a daytime parade. All the stuff that's supposed to be coming back, the shows, etc., it's all nighttime. Even the parade, the Main Street parade, is a nighttime parade. It's an electrical parade.
Right.
We do not have a daytime parade. No word at all from Disney. They have been utterly and completely silent on Magic Happens.
Right.
I mean, it's almost like what did Magic Happens do to you, Disney? Why do you hate it so much?
Yeah. I know, it is interesting because that Disneyland, I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, like a parade is so quintessential Disneyland, a daytime parade. So that is definitely curious. I will say, I just saw in my notes, the one thing I wanted to say in fairness before, just in case I go down some rabbit hole of saying negative things, which I don't think I will, but I just wanted to say, in fairness, there are certainly, for things that are not back yet, the unprecedented times to say the least. Worldwide supply chain issues are another thing. The employee trainings and the employee safety protocols and all of those things is a major thing. There's been an entire regime change. And not only that, the regime change, this is probably the fault of the regime change, but there's been organizational realignment. So there's a massive changes that have taken place and that are going on. So on one hand, there's a little bit of leeway for just not opening every single restaurant, every single attraction, and hiring thousands of cast members all on the drop of a dime. There are things, but there's also things that it seems like it's going really slow. That the rest of the world and the rest of the parks, it's okay, but in this area, for some reason, like you mentioned, the daytime parade. I mean, it's daytime, it's outside. It seems like that's something, especially something they already have canned, like you said, Magic Happens.
The only thing that's been going on that would hinder a daytime parade would be cast. Have a shortage of cast. But otherwise, the supply chain or any other stuff, the COVID, none of that has any factor on whether or not they do Magic Happens. The only thing that you could say, the only excuse they have is that they don't have cast. I don't think that's the case, but that would be the one excuse they have. But with respect to, like you were saying, supply chains and all that stuff, certainly Disney is falling victim to that in ways that some people think it's a Disney thing, but it's not. It's just it's a worldwide thing. The regime change, yes, not just the the actual personnel, geographic, and that's affecting things in the park. The movement of all of the Disney basically offstage personnel to Florida is affecting operations here at Disneyland in ways that people don't quite comprehend, I think, because there's a mindset. There's a mindset in how people go to Disneyland, and there's a mindset on how people go to Walt Disney World, and they do not intersect in a lot of ways. And I feel like they're trying to, again, we've had this conversation before, they're trying to put Disneyland in the WDW box, and it just, I don't know, man. It's not working for me. It's not working for a lot of us.
Right, and that was the organizational realignment that I was referring to.
Yeah.
It is a bigger deal because they're losing talent as a result. They're losing veterans that have decided to step away because who wants to uproot their family on the drop of a dime. I mean, I know it's a great job and things of that nature, but it's a very, very tough thing to ask somebody to do. That's already been that when it's unexpected, when you're job seeking, that sort of thing is one thing. But certainly the supply chain situation is a real thing, and the problem is, I saw an entire documentary on this, and the problem is the ships are sitting for months out at sea, waiting to unload stuff. There's no place on shore to put things because there's no trucks taking things out of the ports and the harbors. So all the stuff is on ships just off the coast. They can't unload it because the stuff that's there isn't being moved out. Isn't that crazy? That's what
it is. It's wild, and it's weird because you see stuff show up in the parks. You're like, why is this here now? Like there's Oogie Boogie 2021 merch in New Orleans Square right now.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the slow rollout of the Magic Key Pass. Things are going to be coming throughout the month that they're going to give away.
Well, the sunglasses aren't available still. The second poster, they said it wasn't going to be available until the 15th, although Liz was there yesterday and the poster was available. So you can, so that means the fact that it's available today when it was supposed to be the 15th tells me that it was an issue with delivery, and they got it sooner than they thought they were. And they thought it was going to be super late, but now it's just kind of late.
Well, they just told me on Saturday also the 15th, so that definitely changed really quickly.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's good. And these are the things like I was talking about, like in fairness, give them a little bit of a pass on that sort of a stuff.
Yeah.
And let's see what else. So obviously there's the big shows. There's Fantasmic.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot of work being done on that. That's definitely coming back, so we know that.
Yeah, they hit the NOS button on Fantasmic. They're moving full speed ahead right now.
They're moving full speed ahead. I'm hearing summer. What have you heard?
Well, it depends on what. I think they're going to do it on the day that the cast are required to be vaccinated, because one of the early rumors that I heard was that they were going to put off Fantasmic until summer or past that even, because of all of the safety precautions that they had to take for COVID.
Right.
Particularly the fireproofing of the cast, of the costumes. And that was causing problems because they had to do that basically every day before every show.
That's some inside stuff right there.
Yeah. And they had to do it every day because they had to clean the costume every day because of COVID. They don't have to clean the costume every day now, so they don't have to fireproof it every day now either. Because once you clean it, you got to fireproof it. This is third hand.
Right.
Anyway, these are the kinds of things that slow things down that people don't necessarily notice up front. That there are a lot of little intricate parts of this that you just assume, well, just why not? You know what I mean? But there's why.
Yeah.
But having the cast vaccinated now, requiring that, allows Disney to be less cautious. They don't have to go through all the hoops to make sure that everybody's safe. And that allows them to do more things now. It allows them to, like I said, as soon as they came to that decision about the vaccinations, that you noticed it immediately the next day. Everything was moving on Fantasmic. Things were happening. So I think if the show's ready, it'll play on April 11th. If the show's ready.
Oh, really? Yeah. I just heard this weekend from 2 cast members what they're hearing. Although, not that that's reliable at all because you don't know, but they said that they're hearing summer.
It could be. I qualify my prediction by saying if it's ready. I don't even know if it's ready. But if the show's ready, they're not going to wait.
Yeah, so the vaccination thing, you can still get sick by being vaccinated. That's what's...
Well,
why is that?
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
But, I know, but I just mean...
what they're doing is they just don't have to be as cautious now. I mean, yeah. I guess.
Right, I know. I saw you posted on about the masks not needing them anymore.
The state mandate?
Indoors, the state mandate indoors.
Yeah.
And my immediate thought... I actually posted it on your thing and I deleted it right away because I didn't want it to sound controversial. But my immediate
Twitter can be nasty.
Yeah, because it just I didn't take the time to write it properly. But essentially, all I was saying was I feel like Disney will take the aesthetics, the optics of mandating it and requiring it, at least like from into summer when it's really hot, or when the numbers or when things change, because you want the cast members I know and you know, like the ones we've spoken to or I have spoken to, they don't like going indoors for like the Mickey Mouse house. They don't want to be indoors at all until this thing is over. So I feel like Disney will at least try to placate, not even placate, it's a wrong word.
Yeah.
We'll just try to take care of them and require mass indoors, which I'm all for. And just until we know more, I guess. So we'll see.
Yeah, all you got to know about that is that the Disney's mask mandate indoors was not based on a state or a county mandate. They did it on their own. So even though the state is saying that they don't need it anymore, I think Disney still will. Just like you said, I think they will keep it up until they don't feel like that they don't need it anymore. And maybe that's summer. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either exactly because things change so quick. I saw the numbers yesterday, and they over the course of the last 7 days, like the decrease in cases was like dropped like 43%.
Sure,
that's
it's
significant.
super warm now. It's the weather's so much better than it was even just 2 weeks ago.
Right. Still, it's just such a fluid, weird, bizarre thing because we're going on year 3 now. So
God, really.
Moving right along.
All right.
Into so we know Toontown is good. It's coming back in a year, so everything back there we can kind of like put off. What about the and we know the Fantasyland parade. Theater is back and coming up. Main Street Electrical Parade is coming. What else do I have? Oh, how about I mentioned this before? The Golden Horseshoe Show. That was, I know there's piano playing now. Golden Horseshoe Show. Has there been any whispers whatsoever that something eventually will return?
Nope.
And what do you think?
Nothing. I've heard absolutely zero on anything like that. Matter of fact, even the piano player was like a surprise to me. I didn't think they were even going to have that guy in there. But he's been holding his own. That guy, he's been holding his own.
I haven't seen him, but I noticed on the app that he had been listed there for a while. So it's like at least something's there.
Yeah, but no, I've got no. And man, what's the Golden Horseshoe without a live show, man? I've got nothing on that. I wish I did, but I got nothing.
A couple more things in Disneyland before we go to DCA really quick. Star Wars Launch Bay. What is going on in that catastrophe?
Okay, so
Not that I'm dying to get in it.
The only thing they do in there is they sell merch occasionally. When there's like a special event and there's special event merch, they'll sell that special event. You can go pick it up in there. But other than that, they're doing nothing. And again, this goes towards, in my opinion, as it is the case with a lot of things in Tomorrowland, until they have a plan, until they know what they're going to do with Tomorrowland in general, they're not going to do anything with Launch Bay. So,
well, they had Boba Fett, they had all the Star Wars stuff that you could look at, really cool things. But again, it's just because they needed to do something with the space. They had Boba Fett in there.
But there's no point in having that anymore if you've got Galaxy's Edge. They didn't.
No. Boba Fett and Darth Vader cannot go into Galaxy's Edge, my friend.
Oh, that's a fair point. Well, that's a fair point, except that that's a terrible thing, and they need to put those characters in Galaxy's Edge. What are you waiting for, Disney? I don't know.
If I could ask Walt a question, it would be, how do you feel about Darth Vader not...
we should ask that question, huh?
Yeah, we should. That seems like a good mailbag one of these days. Yeah, so I was just curious because it's one of those things that's not there anymore. So as I was going through the list,
they're not putting any money into that. You're not going to see the only future that Launch Bay has is rubble. That's the only future it has, in my opinion.
Bobbidi Boutique and the storytelling at the Royal Theater.
Okay, interesting. Now Bobbidi Boutique, I think, is open, isn't it? I thought that was running. I don't pay attention to that because my daughter isn't old enough yet, so I can't relate. I can't even go into that place without feeling like I'm not supposed to be there. So there's a couple things in the park that I won't do that in Disney Junior. But now that I have a child, maybe I can go to Disney Junior now. But
Right.
in DCA, I mean. But yeah, but I kind of think I think it's running. I'll have to look into that. But
I saw the door open, and I saw.
Yeah.
I've never been in there either, so I don't know.
Right.
I've literally never even been inside.
Yeah.
But I was just curious because I do know that it closed for COVID.
Yeah.
Originally, and so I'm not sure what had come back and what had not. So this is the roll call. So there we go.
There you go.
The theater though, I've definitely not
interesting
seen activity there.
thing. If you might have seen yesterday, we posted a construction update. They put walls up around the Fantasyland, not the Fantasyland Theater, the Royal Theater at Princess Fantasy Fair. Construction walls have gone up around Princess Fantasy Fair's Royal Theater. My belief, this is pure speculation, my belief is that they're restoring it back to a theater. Because that's where you meet princesses right now. There is no princess meet and greet inside the proper royal hall,
right?
Where you would go into the room, and there's the 3 rooms. You probably never went in there. We used to go in there all the time, to take pictures with princesses. But that meet and greet hasn't happened since they reopened. But I think they're going to restore the Royal Theater back to a theater so you can see Tangled and Beauty and the Beast again, because
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. Because I think they're going to put the princesses back in the Royal Hall. I'm speculation.
That's funny. So interestingly enough, I did see your post come through, but at first glance, like I didn't read it apparently, because at first glance, now that you said it, you just cleared the air. I thought that was the Fantasyland Theater, and I was like, that's interesting because I was just there yesterday, and there was nothing there. So I wonder what they're doing now.
Oh, are the walls down at the Fantasyland Theater?
Yeah, they're down. So I walked up to the rope so I could see the whole theater and look around to see if I could.
That's
news. And then when I saw your post come through on my phone, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Wonder what they're doing now, kind of thing. But turns out I misread where you were talking. But that's good news. I think a theater. I've long said the Beauty and the Beast is a great story.
It's a great show.
I hope it's there. I hope it comes back. So a couple of things before we. How about this? DCA, the red car trolley.
Nah, that's a dead attraction walking. I think, or not even walking. It's I think it's dead. I think.
Really, I find that hard to believe, even though it seems like it.
Well, okay, let's just say they do bring it back. Are they really going to run that thing into the Avengers building and Avengers campus? Because those tracks go right into the.
Yeah. That's true. I don't know, but I feel like it's the Newsies, like the whole thing on Main Street, or not Main Street, on Buena Vista Street. Like it's so cool. Like it just even if they just parked it there and never let it move again.
I agree. I think it would look good just parked there right there at the entrance, because they did do that. They did that actually when they first reopened Buena Vista Street, when it was just that and you can only shop and eat. They had it parked there.
That is interesting. I don't know. I feel you're right. Forget like facts and logic and all of that. Just think about doesn't it seem like it should exist? But
yeah.
I don't know. You're right, and I've said it before, but I'm one of those people that I don't get caught up in the whole land situation. So I would bother me exactly zero if that thing rolled right.
No,
through the center
I mean it's not. It's cool. I like it as an aesthetic. I like to see it and hear it, but I never rode it.
Right. And neither did I. I never ride it either. I'm just curious. Again, it's things like we know even the Frozen. So Frozen and Mickey's and Magical Map, they laid off all those employees. We know that, and the whispers are that they're both not coming back at all. I don't know. I'm not sure that's Mickey and the Magical Map probably won't, but Frozen.
No,
I don't know.
yeah, both shows were at the time when they made the announcement. It was the word they used was permanently ended. It wasn't a shutdown thing. It was it's over.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they called it something. It ended its run.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to put a new show back in there. We're a long way, I think, from putting a new show back in the Hyperion. It'll be a while before that happens again. And it's going to be yet another empty building in DCA. You could.
I know.
You know what? The number of empty buildings there are.
I know. It is frustrating because that's the first thing that comes to mind is like that giant building. I didn't go in there. I saw the shows a couple times each max over many years. Like it's not something that I did.
Yeah.
But I liked that it was there. It just felt it adds to energy. It feels like it's there.
Yeah.
There's people out front. There's a line. There's the marquee. There's all of these things. There's cast members out front. Like things are happening there that where when you take one thing away, even if it's little, the sum of its parts is like sucking in energy.
Well, not to mention it's a place to put 1,000 people.
It's a place to put 1,000
you know,
people.
that's the reason why they brought that. Why they brought back the Fantasyland Theater, and they're putting a show back at Fantasyland Theater, the Tale of the Lion King. Not because people want to see Tale of the Lion King. Well, maybe they do. It wouldn't have been my first choice, but because they're closing Toontown. So if you where are you going to put those people now?
And it's canned. That's the other thing. It goes back to the parades and it goes back to the shows. It goes back to things that are canned. It's already. That's why I'm making the magical map. Things like that. I mean, it's not canned if you don't have the same cast members coming back, but you know what I mean by lack of a better term. Like they got the choreography, they got the music, they got all this kind of stuff that it's easier to bring back than starting from scratch. It's less expensive, I guess, is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay. What about before I ask you? I'm going to ask you some things I haven't covered, but before I get there, how about extra magic hour, magic morning services, things like that?
I don't think so. Not anytime soon. I don't know why other than I just don't hear or feel anything coming from Disney that says or suggests that that's a thing that's going to happen again. They should, because I have a feeling they're having trouble, filling the hotel suites, or maybe that's the reason why they haven't, because they're not
exactly.
They don't have a full. I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say they don't have the 3-day trips, which is what Magic Morning is. The 3-day plus trips. Or those staying on a Disneyland property is probably less than ideal for them, and that's probably a contributing factor. But they're certainly going to be back, I would think.
Well, I would think it's going to be a little while, maybe summer. I don't know. It's one of those things where you have to wait for the crowds to come back, which, by the way, is one of the things that's still missing from this park is people, cast and guests, man.
Yeah, the parks are. I know, it's so funny because I went through on this last Saturday, and we didn't even try to do. We did a lot of the Magic Key Holder things, and we still did a ton of rides because it was so easy. We just walked on almost everything. But when I was looking at queue times, I mean, they're saying 59% or 55. Let's see, what were they saying? The crowd levels they were saying for 2022 are higher than it's been since 2017.
I don't believe that for one minute. I don't believe that at all. I'm in the parks every week, as are you. I know what it felt like in 2019. It doesn't feel like that ever.
I agree. I totally agree. And exactly that. I maintain that the parks are less. They are easier to navigate now than they've ever been.
Even with Magic Keys.
Rides,
I'm sorry. Even with Genie.
I wouldn't get Magic Pass or Max Pass is what it was. I wouldn't even get that now because I literally do not need it in Disneyland the park at all. And you do need it for DCA though, but
a little bit, yeah.
You could make a case for it. But anyway, the other thing I was going to ask you, what about standby? I'm not on top of this as much as you are, but like can we go anywhere we want and just walk and get in line to order food?
Everywhere, yes. Well.
Okay.
There's occasionally, like I've experienced one instance where there was no standby because they didn't have cast members to actually take orders.
Right.
But you can still go standby. I don't recommend it, but you can still go standby at any location. Some locations are standby only. Rancho is standby only. Plaza is standby only. Yeah.
Are all the restaurants open?
Are they? I'm sorry?
Are all the restaurants open?
Yes. Well, the only one that's not open is the Troubadour, because does that count as a restaurant? Dining location, because the Fantasyland Theater is not open. But I'm trying to think. And the ones in Toontown.
Well, yeah.
But other than that, no. I think everything's open.
I haven't been, which is funny. The bottom of DCA, which I always get that one wrong. What's that called down there? The
Paradise Garden.
Paradise Garden.
Oh, that does remind me. Boardwalk is still closed. Yes, I forgot about that one.
So down at the
Boardwalk
end of
Pizza and
DCA
Pasta is still closed.
Okay, I was just about to say that's been closed forever, and I hadn't been down there in so long. I didn't even know when it opened, but it's still not.
Still closed.
Okay, so I think I covered most things on the list that I have. Oh, Tarzan's Treehouse. What have you heard on that? Nobody knows.
Well, somebody kind of put a bug in my ear, and the more I think about it, the more I believe it. I think it's they're not doing anything. They just don't want to run it. Like, right. It's a mysterious mystery of Tarzan's Treehouse, but I mean, it doesn't require a lot of cast or a lot of, they don't have to do a lot of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are there even cast monitoring that? I don't know.
What I wouldn't think so, because all you could do is walk. There's nothing to even touch.
But it's been going on for so long. Either, and it's still on the calendar as far into the future as you can look. End of March. It's still not going to be open. Either it's something really, really bad, or it's absolutely nothing. It's one of those two.
Right, I know, right? Exactly.
Because otherwise, they would have finished whatever it was that they were trying to do by now, or by March 20th.
Is the bread tour?
Yes, you can do that, but the last time I went in there, they weren't giving you bread.
Yeah, that's what I had heard. I remember they opened it a long time ago, and then I remember they stopped giving you bread. So I'm like, wait a second. So it's not really open if I'm not getting my bread.
No bread, no bread, no tour.
Remember when Ghirardelli's used to give you the chocolate?
I know, right? No, they did, and that was recent too. In 2019, they were doing that.
Oh yeah, we went my kid, man, every single time. I told him to remind me because I would forget, and we would go every single time to get it.
That's your appetizer. You get a little chocolate and some bread, and
so much fun. It was just. It was also just fun. Just felt fun. Felt like you were something that's free. I don't know. Yeah. It just felt fun. All right, David. What have I not mentioned? I know magic bands are coming. Is it anything that comes to mind?
No. All they said was 22. But no, there's been no sort of. We haven't heard anything from them on when that might be.
I haven't heard it.
I haven't even heard rumors.
I get so much stuff, same stuff as you, mostly, and I haven't heard a peep about it since the announcement, literally.
And by the way, there were no rumors leading up to that announcement either. So, it could be that they're doing something, they just haven't leaked it. I don't know.
Right. Anything else? Any services, shops? Things that
the only thing that we're still missing is Dream and Believe keys. Sales of Magic keys are still being paused. My expectation or my belief is that they're waiting until that lawsuit is settled, or whatever that means.
Right.
Either they win or lose or settle. I don't know.
They settle everything.
Yeah,
99%
probably.
of stuff they settle. They don't want it. They make it go away.
Yeah, when that stops being a thing, that's when they'll start selling passes again. So, but I don't know when that is, because who knows? I mean, there's been no news on that. We had a little bit of an update a little while back where they had a change of venue, I think. They were trying to move it to Florida because that changed, some of the particulars of how the suit could be filed. But other than that, I have not heard anything.
Yeah. I love Disney, and I back them on everything. I'm 100% in agreement that they misled us. And guess what? If they charge double, I'd still pay for it. But don't tell me I can do whatever I want and then not be able to do it.
You're right. I mean, people can talk about, hey, it was, they said up front that's subject to blockouts or whatever, but don't tell me that that's not, you weren't trying to sell us a no blockout date pass.
Yeah, it was
what I mean?
It was
I
legacy.
Get it.
It was legacy. You're kind of like living off of what was there before without clearly defining.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of like manipulation. A lot of that there's that whole ethics thing, right?
Yeah.
What's legal and what's ethically moral.
I would not have predicted that we would have run into what we ran into in the holiday season and the winter season, that it would have been like November, December. That you couldn't get a date. I would not have predicted that. When I bought my pass, I'm like, yes, I'm going to go whenever I want, ish.
Yeah.
Right? With a few, maybe it might be a little bit here and there, who knows? But damn.
I don't mind the reservations one bit, but But the blockout, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I maintain that it's going away. That will not last. I
Yeah.
don't believe it for a second, and I'll go to my grave saying that. Even if it never changes one bit from what it is right now, I will not accept that to be real.
Yep.
I know we could talk forever. I know we could, but we need to move on.
All right.
This week in Disney history, lucky for you and all the listeners, I really shortened it down to a few things, but they're good.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh God, are people bashing this whole segment?
No, nobody. No, I'm just funny that you think we're like it's like a Jungle Cruise skipper. Like we regret to inform you that the Jungle Cruise is still fully operational.
Yeah, exactly. Believe me, I have to succinctly write this in a way to give you information because each thing could be like a 10-page dissertation.
Yeah.
But here we go. This week in Disney history, what opened this week? A couple significant things. Pinocchio, 1940 opens. The film required the talents of 750 artists, including animators, assistants, in-betweeners, layout artists, background painters, special effects animators, inkers, and painters, who produced more than 2 million drawings and used some 1,500 shades of paint for the Technicolor production. Many film historians describe the film as the most beautifully realized and technically perfect of all the Disney animated features. The film cost $2.6 million in 1940. Using the same techniques and processes, it would cost well over $100 million today. Here's a fun fact that I came across. The earliest known still photo, color photograph of Walt Disney was taken in his office at the Hyperion Studio in 1939 during the production of Pinocchio. And here's a picture of him with all the like figurines at his desk or whatever. So it was pretty cool. And I just happened to stumble across it and was like, oh, that's cool. That's the first color photo ever of Walt. Pinocchio, I'm a big fan of Pinocchio. I've long said the one film that deserves or warrants maybe a live action remake, not for just for the sake of money, but just for the sake of storytelling and how many different worlds and prisms and emotions and set pieces are in that film. It is Pinocchio, but I also think it'd be the most difficult to pull off. So
yeah, for sure. See. That's some dark material.
1950, David. This same week, 10 years later, Cinderella opens and became one of the highest grossing films of the year and Disney's most successful release since Bambi 8 years prior. Because of wartime economic problems, the Disney studio needed to be satisfied with its package films such as Make Mine Music and Melody Time for several years, but by the end of the 40s, Walt was able to put together the financing for another full feature telling one single story. It was a huge gamble for Disney. And if it had been unsuccessful, it probably would have sounded the death knell for animation at the studio. 6 years in the making, Cinderella became one of Disney's best-loved films and one of the highest-grossing features of 1950, and its resounding success ensured that animation would continue.
Right on.
That was some heavyweight there, boy. Cinderella, Pinocchio. Last time you seen them? Been a while?
Oh, yeah. Well, I saw Pinocchio maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Terrified me. I didn't remember it being as OMG as it was. Like, I'm like, I cannot believe they made this movie kind of thing.
Monstro?
Yeah. Well, it's the whole sending kids off to work and, the deception and the whole donkey, they turned into, golly, that was just harsh, man. Child slave labor, basically, right? Is that, do I have that remember correctly?
Well, he's kind of, kidnapped for a circus or whatever you call it.
Dark.
The source material is really dark. That's as Disney-fied as they could make.
You're kidding me. My goodness.
There's a lot of deaths. There's no Jiminy Cricket, and there's deaths in the source material.
Wow.
I don't know. I didn't know about this. I don't remember it at all. The Pirates Arcade Museum opens in 1967, New Orleans Square. New Orleans Square opened a year before Pirates of the Caribbean debuted in the park. The land originally had 4 things listed under adventures and attractions. The 2 Big E tickets, Pirates and Haunted Mansion, the Santa Fe and Disneyland Railroad Station and Frontierland, which was Frontierland, New Orleans Square back then. And the 4th attraction, Pirates Arcade Museum. visitors anxiously awaited the arrival of pirates in Disneyland. So Imagineers saw an opportunity, of course, to tease their excitement. The Pirates Arcade Museum opened in New Orleans Square a few months before Pirates of the Caribbean, officially launching the age of Pirates. It was located near the eventual exit from Pirates just before Royal Street. Today, it's the Pieces of Eight gift shop. The Pirates Arcade Museum never lived up to its name. Visitors found no museum exhibit there. Instead, visitors wandered through a traditional arcade with every pirate game players could want. And, of course, visitors could seek their fortunes from the legendary fortune Red, and could even purchase postcards from the special vending machine which sold concept art for Pirates of the Caribbean. By the end of the 70s, digital video games changed the landscape for consumers. Traditional, old-fashioned arcade games no longer drew in visitors the way they had in decades past, and visitors typically skipped the arcade museum altogether. Disney finally closed the arcade in early 1980, adding a pirate gift shop a few months later. Right?
You're blowing my mind right now. There was a thing there till the 80s? Until 1980?
Until 1980 was a pirate arcade, 67 to 80, and
That's
I don't know
almost
anything about it.
15 years. My God.
And I don't know anything about it except for I've seen the postcards. I've seen, or I think I've seen pictures of Red, the fortune teller. Or maybe I'm thinking of the movie.
I
Big.
wonder if that red machine is original.
I don't know. That's pretty cool.
The one that's there now, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking of. I don't know. I want to say yes. Now that you say that.
That's cool if it is.
Yeah, that is cool. They've been known to keep artifacts for sure. Okay, last one. We've mentioned this before. 1975. The film of the Walt Disney Story closes. The main street attraction in the Opera House opened in 73, taking the place of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. A movie narrated by Walt himself told his life story. That automatically sounds amazing. I wish I could see it. Many guests missed Lincoln, however. Missed Lincoln as in they missed it. So the movie closed on February 12, 1975, enabling Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln to return to the theater. A Lincoln display and a model of the Capitol replaced some of the Walt Disney display in 85. Memorabilia related to Walt from the Disney archives was displayed, including awards, letters written to Walt by famous people, and even an exact reproduction of his offices from the Disney studio in Burbank. The scene outside the window was a photographic backdrop which had been used at the studio when a replica of Walt's office was built on a soundstage for him to use on some of his television lead-ins. The offices were on display until 2005. The Walt Disney Story, which uses Walt's interviews and other recordings for the narration and features rare stills and film clips, was eventually released as an educational film in 1994 for purchase in the parks, of course. I think that's funny that all those pieces we see, all those spots we see of Walt in his office is all a soundstage now. And I should know that by working in film production, but isn't that funny? Like, wait a second, they remade his office on a soundstage, so that wasn't really.
That is weird. Yeah,
it's so funny.
But I love those videos, man. I could listen to Walt talk all day.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. He had such a soothing. He has such a unique cadence and delivery. Like, he's very, very unique. I really, really like it.
It really is. I mean, he's a great businessman, great leader of industry, but also an entertainer by himself. He could just entertain. It's fantastic.
Without giving you information. Like, he never did the details. Like, he would say, and over here we're going to have some pirates and things. He always says, and things.
Go to the Lincoln show, go to the Opera House, and watch the film that they do before the Lincoln, Great Moments show. But you don't have to go to, but watch Walt talk about the creation of the mask and the bust and all that stuff. It's just like, you're great, man. You're great.
Super cool. That was This Week in Disney History, and this is This Week in Mailbag. Thank you for your questions. As always, I always appreciate it. Keep sending them, pepper them. We need them. We need them because sometimes they overlap a little bit, but that's okay because it gets the creative juices flowing. David, Christy Nicole 85 asks, what type of merchandise do you each like to get while in the parks?
I don't I don't buy a lot of merch, and partly because I go so often. Like if I sort of, once you open that can, there's no finish line to things like pins and wishables and all that stuff. So I don't want to get into. I don't want to get hooked. So I don't buy a lot of merch. The one thing I do buy is coffee mugs. I think I do. I am a sucker for a good coffee mug. I have way too many to the point where I don't even need like regular glasses anymore. I do love Disney coffee mugs are the best. But for a while there, I collected park specific or ride specific Funkos. I stopped doing that. I don't buy pins. I don't buy spirit jerseys or anything like that. So coffee mugs for me.
Coffee mugs for me.
Yeah.
Quite literally the only two things I could think of that I actually buy is coffee mugs and candles. I can't get enough coffee mugs or candles, to be honest with you. And I'm a weirdo. When I buy the candles, I won't burn them.
They just look good. Yeah.
They look great.
Sometimes I want to drink my coffee out of the candle.
I just want to smell it.
Because the art on it looks so cool. I want to drink something from it.
I know I want to smell it. But again, it goes back to if I see something that I like, I just order it. All these shirts, all these Disneyland shirts and stuff I have, I seek out online, rare vintage shirts or whatever. And it just comes up somewhere. Just try to find things like that. I don't really buy things in the park very often that's merchandise. I will. It's just that if I know I can get it, that I don't have to get it from the park, because most of that stuff you can get from Shop Disney anyway. Yeah. So anyway, the things that come to mind that I just on an impulse will buy is that, and ears. I have every set of ears because I have a young son, so every set of ears. But other than that, and I keep them all. Well, I will say I do have Mickey Mouse birthday and Disneyland birthday park tickets, the paper tickets that they get. I always keep those. Once again, curio cabinets crap. That just at this point, I'm just like throwing stuff in there.
Yeah.
But that's it. Thank you for the question. And Rebecca Bree now asks, I should have thought of this ourselves. If you could ask Walt one question, what would it be? Foreshadowing, right? We talked about that.
Yeah, we sure did. This was a tough one for me because, I mean, there's so much, right? Like, how do you... But I think that, I decided I wanted to kind of ask him. I wanted to be able to relate in a way. I wanted to know, because if he was ever scared, or worried, he rode, he was at that limit so much, between being broke and success. And I just wonder if he ever doubted or had any sort of fears about whether or not he was going to make it, or if he just had supreme confidence all the way through. I don't know what the answer would be. I mean, or what that would mean to me, but because I have fears. I have fears all the time just doing this, this thing. And I just wonder if that is am I, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100% know what you mean. You're thinking the way I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree, man. To me, it's the behind the scenes stuff, the stuff that I'm not reading in a book. So I didn't know what to put, and I also didn't know the context. Does he know everything about Disneyland today?
Yeah.
I don't want to ask him about today. I want to ask him about his time. I want to ask him about what he's acutely aware of what was going on pre-1955.
Yeah.
I want to know that. But again, to your point, everything that I was thinking, it goes back to tell me something about yourself that I can't read in a book, or I don't know in a book. So I put, what is the one little known thing that you would do differently, and what is the thing behind the scenes that you're the proudest of? Something along those lines, because, and there's a million ways to ask the question, but exactly to your point is, tell us the things, the behind the scenes things. Tell us those kind of things about your feelings, about your emotions. Your question is amazing because I totally agree with that. So many questions, man. So many questions. I would be so fascinated to hear him. Almost, he might laugh about it, but he'd say, "Yeah, that was a bad call."
Well, I'm sure he's
the pack mule.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then like that for you to say stuff like that, for him to bring in his emotions in those things, because there's countless times. We just talked about one now, Cinderella. The animation may have died if Cinderella wasn't successful post-war.
Well, Snow White was the same. Snow White was they were either out of business or a success.
Snow White was huge. Yeah, Snow White was everything.
God, what's that like to just put everything on the line like that, man? Jeez.
Yeah, he was a special breed.
He really was.
No question about it. Definitely, yeah, it's really, 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 really interesting. But anyway, that's another one we could probably just ramble on forever and ever talking about, because there's so many questions, so much interesting things. Whether you're talking about park, the films, like the whole world, it doesn't end, because he had such a big, like encompassing, touch on things. What? This comes from Crazy Girl Daffy. What Disney song relates to you personally?
Actually, this one was easy, super easy. Yeah, on a couple levels. But Let It Go, for me, is super relatable. It means a lot to me because I live by that. I live by just nothing sticks. There's only just a few things that matter to me. And everything else is just let it go, man. Just let it go. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's necessarily the intent. I guess it is. It's about shedding, just being yourself and just being true and not worrying about what other people think of you, or not worrying about, any of those expectations or things like that, and just going and walking your own path and letting everything else go and do your thing. When I heard that song the first time in the theater, I was not expecting to get emotional watching Frozen, which I thought was a movie mostly for girls, When she first hit that Let It Go, I'm like, oh my God, she's talking to me. I'm like, she's totally talking to me. So yeah, I identify with Let It Go.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was definitely, there's so many Disney songs when you start to actually think about it. Like, there's just so many pop in your head. That's the essence of Disney right there, man. Yeah. They have to have hit songs in their films. Or my initial inclination was it has to be something from Mary Poppins, because I absolutely love all the music in Mary Poppins. But at the end of the day, What Is Me is a little bit very similar to you, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Hakuna Matata.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah.
It's so funny that
no worries.
No worries, just chill, man. Just take it as it is. Like nothing. We always say this. Nothing's as bad as it seems, or as good as it seems. Just whatever. Just live in the now. The power of now.
Good book.
All of that. Very good book. Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, I've read it.
So am I, my friend. I'm big into that stuff. What, with the restoration of Walt's plane for D23 in mind, is there an artifact or prop set piece from Disney history that you would like to see in person? Big Lou 154 asks us. Good question.
I'm probably forgetting some things, but the first thing that came to my mind was his train in the backyard that he built. I love trains. Walt loved trains. Did you know that? But I feel like seeing those pictures of him on that train, it was everything for him. And I want to see the barn. You can't go to the barn, actually, Walt's barn. But I want to see the train. I want to see his train that he had in the backyard over there at his old home.
I was torn between two things, but it all started with a mouse. So I want to see Ub Iwerks' original.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
That original drawing for Plane Crazy, actually, they didn't get distribution. That's why.
Right. There's some misconception on that and Steamboat Willie.
Right. So there was actually, I think Steamboat Willie's the third, actually.
It was the first speaker, but not the first one they made.
Right. Hot dog. Yeah. So, and the other one I was gonna say was, so that's just huge to me, and just to see it, like you could see them online. It's just spectacular to see that scribbling, right before the whole world, before we knew it. But in that moment, just looking at that thing and what it became, that kind of thing fascinates me. The other thing that popped in my head, actually, this popped in my head before the Mickey did, is Herb Ryman's 1953 sketch when Walt had that meeting in New York.
Yes.
So when Walt said, "Okay, I need you to get here now because we need to draw this," and the Herb Ryman, over the course of basically 30 hours, drew,
Yeah.
or maybe it was 18 hours, drew Disneyland. Walt was talking,
Yep.
Herb was drawing.
Yep.
Those two things are really just such huge things that I think. But the list goes on and on and on. You can just keep going down. Cool things.
Yep.
All right, let's do 5 things Disneyland, and this one is not a lot of talking that's going to take place, so that's why we did question 4. Thank you for the questions, and thank you for the Disneyland 5 things Disney offerings. I'll be reaching out to you all again on social media this week, and as always, do what you do and respond with overwhelming fun.
Yeah.
David.
Yes.
What? Oh, wait. What is? Oh, I didn't rewrite the question, so now I don't remember. So now I don't
it's a new
remember.
question, I think, right?
Yeah, it's a new question. The question is, David, once you are within the gates of one of the parks, once you enter the turnstile and enter the park, what are the 5 things, most purchased things that you have bought? It could be anything that you spent money on once you're inside Disneyland or DCA.
Well, I can tell you it's all food.
Well, yeah.
We just got done saying I don't buy a lot of merch in the park.
Right.
And I can tell you what it's not, and it's not pizza anywhere in Disneyland. I don't buy a lot of pizza at Disneyland. But yeah, there are things that I get pretty regularly. I think that obviously number 5 for me would be probably a Dole Whip. I get Dole Whips pretty regularly, especially if there's new Dole Whips. But no, sometimes I'm just looking for reasons to get one. But Dole Whip is probably number 5 for me.
I cannot wait to hear your top 4 because I can't believe Dole was that far. That's shocking to me, quite frankly. But also, there's going to be an omission from my list. That's going to be quite shocking to everybody. But it shouldn't be because I always talk about it. But anyway, my number 5 is a chili con queso.
Oh, why? Why do you do that to yourself?
Because I have a kid that says, I want macaroni and cheese. And I go, fine, we'll go here. So he gets a bacon mac and cheese cone, and I get the chili con queso.
You do that often?
I do it. It happens more than I care to admit.
Oh, my goodness. I'm not a fan of those.
Quick and easy. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. There's other things on the list I like even less than that I buy.
Yeah.
Like it has nothing to do with liking. It just has to do with they're getting my money through these things.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 4.
Number 4. Now this one I didn't. It wasn't specific, but a place that I wind up gravitating towards the most or near the most is Jolly Holiday. But I don't know if I could pin it down to like a specific thing, but if I'm ever not sure what to get, then I wind up going to the Jolly Holiday. And usually it's the Jolly Holiday salad or it's whatever pastry that is catching my eye. So I don't know if it's a single thing, but I gravitate towards Jolly Holiday very often, especially in the mornings. And I like to just, we've talked about this, just sitting on the rail and watching people go by. So I guess that answers that, I guess. I mean, does that count?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what my number 5 was, is like of the 4 things. I'm either getting a chicken sandwich, a burger, or a Cobb salad,
right,
or chicken salad, or the chili con queso. Like single day at the parks, I'm getting one of the 4 things. I just thought chili con queso would be the funniest and just and I knew you hated them.
I know, I don't like them, no.
I can't wait till other conversations come up things we hate.
That should have been the 5, which is things you never get.
Right. Well, here's one that is definitely would make your list. My number 4, the chimichanga. It is from the cart by the partner statue. It's awful. There's nothing about this thing I like. Nothing. But I eat it. And actually, I take that back. I like it, but I can't ever recommend it to anybody. I can't tell anybody it's good. I think we mentioned, funny enough, it on last week's show. I've never met Mexican food that I don't like.
No, I love Mexican food, but that's just like a bag of carbs. Like it's just.
Yeah, it was not even that. It's like, if it's not perfect, like it's super hard and crunchy on one end, and it's like soft and greasy, and then you get into it, and I put hot sauce on every single bite, like almost a whole pouch of hot sauce on every single bite. It is so awful, but I for some reason like it. Those are solo trip things. On solo trips,
Yeah.
I'm not going to dining. I'm not going to mobile order. It's like I need something in my stomach. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go grab a chimichanga just because in my own head it's hilarious and awesome.
I told Liz we did a no show late night run the other night just to hang out and get a churro, and I said I thought in my head I think I should do a forcing myself to eat a chimichanga video and just see if I could put one of those things down because I mean I don't like them. Plus they're just enormous. Oh my god, it's too much.
Oh really? I don't think I could eat a lot of them at one time. I don't think they're very big for that, but I know what you mean. If you don't like it, it's huge.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, it's a lot to get through. Okay, number 3, Bengal Barbecue. And I could say I could eat anything at Bengal Barbecue, but it is almost always the same thing. It's the vegetable skewer, the whatever the one with the sweet
Banyan.
Zulu sauce, whichever one
Banyan.
Banyan, yeah, and then jungle julep. They could. I mean, I pretty much get the same thing. I whenever I go there every single time, and it's just like Jolly Holiday. Whenever I'm not sure what I want to do for food, I wind up at Bengal Barbecue.
Yeah, I love Bengal Barbecue. I would eat that every day if I could walk up and grab it. If it didn't like slow my roll, I would do it every single day because it's so good.
It's one of those. I'm surprised at how long the wait is on mobile for Bengal. You'd think it would be quick, but it's not. It's a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that like literally probably the best food in the entire park is a obstacle to get because of the wait and it's so congested right there. But it is. That's the kind of item that I could be stuffed and still eat one.
Yeah.
My number 3, Mickey Pretzel. I just think they're amazing, and I love them with all my heart. And I could eat it plain, but I like it with mustard, and I don't want any cheese near it.
Nope. Just mustard and extra salt.
Just mustard. Just mustard. I think everything's salty, so I don't put salt on anything except for a hard-boiled egg. I don't.
You're kidding.
Salt is to me. Every single thing already tastes salty.
They got a pill for that, I think.
I don't know. I don't add salt. It doesn't need it. It's kind of like blue cheese. It's like I don't need to add blue cheese. Just a hint. I don't mind one little kernel of it. I don't want what the amount that other people.
Oh, you mean like the crumbly blue cheese?
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit of that goes a long way.
Ooh, that's potent.
Yeah. Okay, number 2, churros. I mean, right? That should be hard to say or believe. But I especially like to try, all the seasonal churros. But if there's a new churro out, I want to try it. Typically, I just had a bunch. I just had Ron, the video that we're putting out today. Well, actually, it was yesterday. If you're watching this on Wednesday, the video I put out yesterday, I ate a sour cherry churro with the cream cheese dip. It was like a religious experience.
Really?
It was the best churro I've ever had in my life. It's only going to be here till for February, I think. Sour cherry churro with cream cheese. It's in Tomorrowland. I died.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, churros. Yeah, churros don't make my list, but it's a little bit of a lie because just same thing. I buy all the seasonal churros, especially if it's the one I just had the chocolate peanut butter. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course.
It's cheesecake one because all of those things are my favorite things, all combined into one thing.
I didn't like that one actually.
It was. I mean, I ate it. I've never had a churro that I didn't like. It's just ones I like better. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like
too much
donuts.
Chocolate.
Yeah, I just like I like cheesecake like crazy. I love cheesecake. Yeah. Cheesecake and ice cream is my favorite sweet. My number 2, Dole Whip Float, and that is something I get. Easily, I get that. Other than my number 1, which nothing will ever touch.
I can't believe it's not your number 1. I thought for sure it would be.
What do you think I spend the most money on? It's pretty easy to predict. Let's put it this way. In one visit to the park, I don't grab 6 Dole Whip floats for myself. 5.
Okay.
Spoiler alert!
I hadn't even thought of that one, but now I know what you're talking about.
Well, I know what my bank statement looks like.
So I guess that explains a lot why Dole Whips are number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to that because my number 1 is much like your number 1, except it's just different. Coffee. I don't. There's not a trip at Disneyland that doesn't go by where I'm not getting a cup of coffee, and that doesn't necessarily mean always Starbucks or the Market House. Sometimes I'll get my coffee at Jolly Holiday. but I can't go to Disneyland without getting a cup of coffee. That is the one thing I get just about every single time, and I don't even mind waiting in that 45-minute line at the market house for it either.
Well, I agree. I mean, I'm a coffee freak. I drink a pot of coffee here, although I have a longer drive than you. So I drink a pot of coffee. I put it in 2 thermoses. They're not huge thermoses. They're just like single drink thermoses. So when I get to the parks, I pour one into the paper cup, and then I'm walking until I get to the park and just throw it away, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So, but I love coffee, and I'm a coffee freak. My number one, Bud Light. Bud Light.
Bud Light.
There's just, I mean, you're pretty good chance on any given weekend. By the time I get to DCA, it's going to be 2 o'clock. We go usually to smoke jumpers, but it just depends. But yeah, just go in there, and like I've mentioned before, I just love the energy of DCA. We spent the whole day so far in Disneyland. Go over there, get something to eat, grab a beer just to walk the park with a beer, or 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, I'm there for the rest of the night, so 5 or 6 beers in 8 hours is not hardly
good gravy.
But
and it's Bud Light too, man. Don't you get a Blue Moon every now and then?
I do. It's just that I didn't want to put like beer. I just wanted it to be funny.
Oh, okay.
I actually go to the truck in Pacific Wharf a lot.
Oh, okay.
Every time I walk up, I'm going to DCA.
They got a good beer there.
Yeah, I either go there or Flo's. Like
yeah.
I'm going somewhere just to grab a drink or even a cocktail. Like I'm always in Oga's Cantina, and I'm always drinking or ordering one of their drinks. But it's definitely happening, and that was this week's show. What did we miss, David? What do you want to talk about?
I can't believe it's over already. No, we didn't miss anything. We hit every single damn thing.
Yeah, we really did. We hit a lot of stuff. So thank you as always for the questions. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for the reviews. Thank you for downloading and viewing and commenting on David's YouTube channel. So I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but it's going to be super fun and exciting. So until then,
Fresh baked.
Fresh baked.